We are talking with Big Chris of Big Chris Collision, and he's an attendee at the Southeast Collision Conference. He's sharing with us some of his biggest takeaways. You don't want to miss it.
Welcome to Body Bangin', your podcast for all things body. Auto body, that is. And now, introducing Body Bangin's host, Mickey Woods of Mickey Woods Marketing. Mickey is a former auto collision center owner and is now a marketing and business development expert to shops across the globe.
Hey, and welcome back to the Body Bangin' podcast, where we are talking with folks at the Southeast Collision Conference in Virginia. And I want to make sure I thank my sponsor, Lombard Equipment. If you guys aren't buying equipment from Lombard, then you're doing something wrong. Well, maybe not, because they only serve Miami to Maine, but they have 5-star reviews, so you know they are good. Today on this episode, we are talking with a shop owner who's in attendance there at the Southeast Collision Conference. We've got Chris Herron of Big Chris Collision in Aiken, South Carolina. How's it going, Big Chris?
Doing great.
I love that name.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you grow up having that name? Was that like a nickname your whole life?
It was a nickname from school. I went to school with several Chris's, and I was always heavy set, so I got Big Chris.
You got Big Chris.
Yep.
It stuck so much you named your shop after it.
Absolutely. And got it tattooed on my arm as well.
Well, now you're really stuck with it.
Absolutely.
I love that. So is this your first time you've been to the Southeast Collision Conference?
Yes, ma'am. I went last year.
Oh, okay.
So this is my second time.
And I'm obviously you liked it enough to come back. So that's good.
Absolutely. It's bigger and better this year than it was last year.
Awesome. That's what we were hoping for. So it's still a little early in the conference. What have you been to Mike Anderson's session?
Yes, ma'am. We started out with Mike Anderson's session. Great start off to the event. The man with the plan, so to speak.
Yeah.
Always learn something in all of his classes. Great guy. And it was great.
Yeah. I heard he put some people on the spot.
Yeah, he called a few shops. That's always fun to hear.
Yeah, I know, right?
Nobody was late, so nobody had to sing.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
So what do you feel like your biggest takeaway was from his class?
Biggest takeaway is just really how we kind of operate with our procedures, how we deal with the customer's interaction, how we answer the phone. Every little aspect of that kind of affects the customer's perception of the shop.
Yes.
And kind of sets the stage, for, the repair and how we're going to do.
Yeah, so, absolutely. 100%.
Great takeaways.
So when you go back to your shop, how many people do you have there? You're a smaller shop, right?
Yes, ma'am. We got 3 total, 2 in the office and I'm in the back.
Oh, wow. You're the worker bee. I like it.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you go back, I'm sure, is it your whole team there today or is it just you?
Nope, our whole team's here. They're running around here somewhere.
I love that. Okay, so when you go back, I assume you'll have a sit down of some kind.
Absolutely. I've got 2 pages of notes that we're going to go back and work on.
You've been there an hour and you have 2 pages. Okay. So when it comes, Mike talked about a lot of stuff and I actually interviewed Mike already. So what do you feel like from your perspective, being the owner is something that you feel like you could change right away in your shop to make a big difference?
Well, we've been going through changes the past couple of years ever since we joined CCA. I purchased a lot of equipment last year. Got a few more equipment pieces that I'm going to purchase this year. We're running out of room at the shop, so we're looking at expanding a little bit.
Okay.
But our biggest changes is I want to work on our process of how we kind of take the people in the front end.
Yeah.
How do we kind of like give them the emotional support after a collision that they would need?
Yes.
And kind of set the stage and expectations of what the repair is going to be like, what maybe dealing with the carrier is going to be like. And that's really my main focus. I want to focus on when I get back.
Yeah. And that's really important. You said something really important there is the communication about their experience with the carrier.
Absolutely.
That seems to be a hot topic of conversation lately.
Yes, ma'am. So at my shop, we assist, but at the same time, insurance companies don't really owe body shops. They owe the vehicle owners. So we kind of educate our customers. And our customers has got to get involved with the repair, so we can make sure they get a safe and proper repair.
Right.
And it's just all about communicating it up front.
Yes.
And setting them expectations of what the insurance carrier may say or may do. What can we do to maybe get by that, get around that, and what options there's going to be, basically.
Yeah. Do you find yourself collecting money at the end of the claim if insurance isn't paying?
Yes, ma'am. So we just had one leave the other day. It was a third-party claim. Okay. And we had told the customer that we was going to take an assessment of benefits, and I was going to let my attorney handle it, but he didn't want to sign the assessment of benefits, so that left him with having to pay like $1,200 out of pocket to pick his car up.
Okay.
He paid. He understood the process. We was up front with him.
Yep.
He knew his safety inspections got done in his Toyota. We used OEM parts, and he thanked us all the way out the door, even after paying the bill.
Wow, I love those stories.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think that really has to do with the communication, don't you think?
It's 100% communication.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And that's why I think Mike's talk is so powerful, especially when we're dealing with asking people to come out of pocket when they think they shouldn't have to.
Absolutely. And has no update. So with our parts issues and waiting on insurance carriers to come back, you got to call your customers and be like, a no update. You know, we're moving on it, but we haven't heard nothing to tell you with. So they're not just sitting in the dark.
That's right. I think that's so huge.
Absolutely.
Shops that I work with that transition from updating only when the delivery date is going to be changed.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yeah, that's not good.
that doesn't work anymore.
No, ma'am.
That used to be the thing. That's not the thing. People want to know even if there's nothing to know.
That's right.
Right. So I think it's amazing what you're doing there. So have you seen anybody else speak there yet?
Yeah, Jake Rodenroth and a bunch of them just had an EV panel.
Right.
I'm actually sitting by a Lucid right now, which is a pretty cool looking car.
Yeah, they're so cool.
EVs is coming. I'm trying to learn as much as I can so we can hopefully prepare. I'm kind of in a little country town, so I don't think I'm going to get hit as quickly as some people will in the bigger cities.
Right.
But they're definitely coming. They
are. And Jake's so great when he presents too, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's so entertaining. And that's an interesting point to make is EVs are here and some people are going to feel the effects of it sooner than later. It's not if, it's more when, don't you think?
It's when. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you went to that class.
Most definitely. We actually do towing as well at my shop. So I'm really more concerned about towing a wrecked electric vehicle from the collision site and making sure it's safe to put on the tow truck before we get it back to the shop and how to properly store it.
Totally.
So that's going to be my first thing I want to do with the EVs is figure out how to tow them and store them. And then I'll move into figuring out how to work on them.
That's right. It's all a learning curve. And like we've been so, I think, I don't know if complacent is the word, but comfortable maybe, doing what we do for a long time. And now just vehicles in general have changed so much. And then you add EVs on top of it.
Absolutely.
There's a lot to know.
It is. The ADAS and all the calibrations required. And it's a lot.
It's a lot. So how are you feeling in your shop, being a small shop with all of these things to know and to do? Do you feel like you got a pretty good grasp or you feel overwhelmed?
Yes. No, ma'am. I felt overwhelmed at first. I've made the change about 3 years ago and started coming to every meeting, every educational class I could find that's close to me. And, you got to show up. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And once you learn it, and it sticks with you, then you can actually go back and make changes in your shop and make stuff happen. But but I feel that we're pretty good. Of course, I'm not going to sit here and say I know everything because I definitely don't. I'm just honored to be in the room with half these people. But
I know, huh?
It's I think we're ahead of the curve, so to speak. But there's definitely ways to improve and do better.
Yeah. Well, and you made a really great point that I hope everybody is listening to is a couple things. You don't know what you don't know. So oftentimes we think we've got it figured out.
Right.
but there's things that we don't know. And then also the importance of being involved, going to events like this. I know you join our collision cocktail hour call that we do once a month, so even for those that maybe can't get out of their shops, there are things you can do from the shop to make sure that you are learning and growing.
Absolutely. There is so much educational stuff out there on the internet now and Facebook, and we're all connected. So there's really no excuse not to train and learn.
Yeah, I agree. So you're going to be there today and tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any class in particular that you're like, I can't wait to go to this class?
Mike Anderson's was my first number one.
Yes.
Mark Olson's doing a class about organization, I think. I can't wait to check that out. And of course, Michael Bradshaw's class about estimating.
Yes. They will be awesome. I know when I read Mark Olson's little synopsis of his class on being organized.
Yes, ma'am.
I was like, don't we all need that?
Yeah, every one of us, especially me.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel that. Well, I really appreciate you, Big Chris, for coming on, taking the time. I think you just got snagged right there on the showroom floor. No prep or anything.
Josh just grabbed me from over there. It's all good, though.
That's how we roll. It's all good.
That's the best way to do it.
It is, and everybody wants to know what, especially other shop owners. I'm a former shop owner, as you know. I learned the most hearing from other shop owners.
Yes, ma'am. So the magic actually happens at all these events, really at like the after hours where everybody's out in the lobby mingling and talking.
Totally.
That's where you really get the true education.
I agree.
Not saying you don't get it in the classes, but you get a lot more in-depth conversations out there on the floor with people.
Yeah, relatable, right?
Exactly.
Because they're all going through a lot of the same shit you're going through. So it's like, thank you. Yeah.
That's right.
I feel it. I feel you. Well, again, thank you, Big Chris, for coming on.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And thank you to our sponsored Lombard Equipment. We got to always give them a shout out. They got a booth behind you, so you got to make sure you're talking about equipment.
Them guys. Yeah, I love them guys. Dave, he's awesome.
Oh, I know. Aren't they great?
They're great.
Yes, awesome. Well, thanks again. And everybody stay tuned for the next episode because we are talking to people at the Southeast Collision Conference for 4 weeks. Every day we're launching a new podcast, talking to somebody new. So we'll see you next time. Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We have some incredible topics and guests coming your way you will not want to miss. If you are watching on YouTube and don't want to miss the latest and greatest, you'll want to hit the bell after subscribing, so you will get a pop-up each time a video podcast goes live. To our devoted fans, would you mind paying it forward and sharing this little gem with someone else you think may benefit from it? Much love from all of us here at Body Bangin', all things auto body.